Right. It used to be that early game was extremely important, and when you saw people, professional players, what do you call it, picking heroes, drafting, most of their attention was towards the early game, which made sense because if you won the lanes, you would, you had a much stronger mid game, and you were set to win the late game as well. But now that's not the case. It doesn't matter if you get trashed in the early game. It really doesn't matter. What matters is those first few mid game fights. If you have had a great early game, but you itemized slightly poorly, you didn't itemize for the mid-game fights, or you didn't join the mid-game fights because you were farming or doing something else, or split pushing or pushing other lanes or doing something else, you're going to lose all that advantage that you gained in the early game. And same goes for the if you got shat on in the early game. If you win that mid-game fight, that first one or two mid-game fights, or even lost the first one but won the second and third mid-game fight, you are going to get your comeback goal. You're going to be back in the game. And so early game is the least important of the three now. And mid-game is important if you lost the early game. If you had an even early game, then the mid-game is not important. It's the late game that's becoming more and more important. And I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this happen, and I've experienced it for myself. You're winning, you won the early game, you're winning the mid game, you've got the fights in the mid game, you're still winning, and about 30 minutes into the game, you're pushing the enemy towers, and somebody goes and dies all by themselves, and another person dies, and you one by one, three or four people of your team have died, and the enemy team has gotten their comeback gold, and then what happens is that you have a team fight, and more or less your entire team gets wiped out, and then the enemy team, within the next half a minute before you guys respawn, they just take all your base, pretty much. So late game is where it's at, and you have to make sure that when it comes to the time that the enemy team is ready to the enemy team has the power to take down all your towers, you better make goddamn sure that you have the essential items. You have your BKB ready. You have your, main essential item, the item that will win you that game. For instance, in this game, it's extremely important, and one of you people in this team make Silver Edge so that you can deal with this bristleback. That's extremely important.
The void made it.
Right. So you need to be damn sure that by the time that, let's say, against this lineup, about, again, 30 minutes into the game, somebody better have Silver Edge so that you can deal with Bristleback. I'm just saying one thing as an example, right?
Yeah.
And for you, it's really important that you have, like, some really serious damaging items, like, I don't know, Desolator, you're going to get pretty early, but that second item...
Yeah, I went phase Armlet Desolator this game.
So you need to make sure that you get... for you in particular, you need to make sure that you're there in every single team fight as often as possible as soon as the mid-game starts. Terrorblade is a great counter to Lifestealer anyway. You're not going to be dealing... So this is the thing, right? Unless you have an ideal game, which is like, you shouldn't really be counting on that. You're most likely going to have counters and going to be countering some people. And even if you're not countering somebody, you're still going to possibly be countered by somebody. So in this particular game, you sort of counter Invoker, but Terrorblade counters you. Terrorblade counters you pretty hard. Pretty much everybody with illusions counters Lifestealer. Lifestealer is a single target hero who really shines against heroes with high HP.
Just his pieces does so much damage.
Yeah. So to be honest, for you, what's his name? Bristleback is a pretty great target for you, and if you make Silver Edge, then that's really great. You jump into the middle of a fight, you start hitting Bristleback. Everybody's hitting you. Doesn't matter because you're still healing chunks and chunks off of the Bristleback. So if you've got 2,000 HP, just right-clicking Bristleback is giving you, 200 HP per right-click. So it's effectively, you got 5,000 HP. You're just unkillable at that. Anyway, so main point is that you need to focus on the right people. Like, what are you doing right now? Why are you straying away? Your supports are dealing with the bristleback. They're dealing with the bristleback really well.
Just gonna do this pretty much.
Yeah, you really shouldn't have. This was not a great time to do this because you, yes, you're gonna get this kill, but you just lost. You gained. How much gold did you get?
Assist gold. It's like very low.
You got 33 gold and you missed an entire creep wave worth about 180 gold, right? That's not really worth it. Your supports were doing a pretty damn decent job. You were level 4. Both your supports level 2. The bristleback level 2. That's a really good win. That's ace. You know. Don't need to do anything. Don't need to just keep farming. Don't need to bother. Don't bother going on a bristleback with full HP trying to kill him. Even if you can kill him, it's really the amount of resources that you're going to use on that guy. It's really not worth it. Especially because at that time, I'm pretty sure if we go back, most likely the guy was like low in mana. If not low, then at least he probably was a half mana, right? Actually, he was nearly full mana. What the hell?
Well,
Look at the 9. That's pretty amazing. The guy was full HP and full mana. That was like no point going on him. He was fresh, you know. So this you need to go on. Why am I going back? You need to go on a hero in the off. You need to go on the offlaner when he's ready to be killed. When you don't have to spend too many resources to kill him. That's when you go on him. Not when you have to invest like half of your HP pool and lots of spells and 3 heroes and all that. You don't want to do that. If it's safe to farm, just keep farming. If he was interrupting your farm, then yeah, okay, you're not getting gold anyway, so might as well go and have an attempt at killing him. So that's a different story. You're missing so many last hits. You're 4K, man.
Yeah.
4K. 4K. You don't have an excuse to miss this many last hits as a carry.
No, I don't.
Last hits aren't that important, generally speaking, but when you're winning a lane this hard, then last hits are very important. Look at how much you guys invested. All 3 of you are nearly dead.
Yeah.
And you've invested most of your mana pool. This guy is almost drained of mana. That was a huge investment. If Bristleback comes back, you're the only one in the lane because both these guys have to leave. If they try to pressure him or try to stop him, he's going to kill them. He's going to get a double kill most likely. At least 1 kill. And if they leave, then he just comes over here, pressures you. The amount of gold that you got from him, how much gold did you get from him?
Again, assist gold is like...
Yeah, you probably got another 30, 40 gold. So you got 30, 40 gold. If he comes and prevents you from getting 1 last hit, that's it. That was. I mean, you're already not getting any missing last hits because you're missing last hits. But if he prevents you from getting 1 last hit because now he's full HP, full mana, and your supports are gone, then that's already not worth it. So you have to killing people is not the main target of this game. Look at that. Now he's chasing people. That's exactly what I was saying. He's just chasing people down. He's just chasing them down. They can't do anything now. He's kind of wasting his time there. He's an idiot because what he should have done is he just should have come straight to the lane and started right-clicking you, making you lose. If he'd made you lose 2 last hits, that would have been worth it for him as far as you were concerned. He needed to make you miss like 5 or 6 last hits for his death to have been worth it. But he's doing an okay job. Doing damage to you and doing damage to the supports and whatnot. Anyway, so that's the main issue for now. We're approaching 10 minutes soon, so what I want to see is when it comes to the time where you're already level 6, right? Now, the Queen of Pain is a fantastic infest target. This is very good. What you're telling me is fantastic. So you've got one of the 2 steps. Now you need to know what the second step is. One of the first step is to communicate with your team and figure out what page your team is on. Is your team on a no bullshit, fast paced, do everything right now page, or do they want to just sit there and farm and attempt to go for... Well,
they're kind of schizophrenic because Squab says he doesn't want to fight, and then he fucking goes and I think he built this the first Bite-em Orchid.
No, what I'm saying is instead of just doing things without talking, without figuring out what your team wants to do, the first step is to figure out what your team wants to do. So you figured out what your team wants to do. Your team, your core, your main hero, Queen of Pain, wants to sit there and farm. What you should have done right now, what you should have done is, instead of making phase boosts, when you figured out what the Queen of Pain wants to do, what you should have done is just go for Midas.
Midas?
Absolutely. Just go for Midas or go for Maelstrom. What you need to do is you need to make a farming item. You're not going to fight. Your Queen of Pain is not going to fight. You're going to lose every single fight. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so that's what happened.
What you need to do is tell the rest of your team, guys, Queen of Pain is not going to fight. We need to avoid fights and farm. The thing is, that's not a good idea. You're going to lose. Depending on the lineup, you might win or lose the late game. But the issue is that if your teammate doesn't want to fight, then it doesn't matter, because if you try to fight without your teammate, you will most likely lose, right?
Yeah, that's what happened pretty much.
Yeah.
That's
so what you need to do,
because I built a fighting gun when pretty much.
So what you need to do is more or less go for one farm item immediately, and then go for an escape item. So I would say maybe make a Midas and a Blink, or a Maelstrom and what's a silver? Lothars, what is it called? Shadowblade. But, one farming item and then one escape item, so that you can keep farming, and if a fight happens, you can just escape, bail. If one or two of your teammates die, if the support dies or whatever, it doesn't matter, because you're still farming pretty fast and you're not really taking any fights. You are 100% absolutely correct. Lifestealer versus Terrorblade, late game is his. You do not win the late game, but you will lose the early game as well if you fight in the early game without your one of your main cores, without your position 2. It's not your position 3, it's not your position 4, it's your position 2. Position 1 or 2 doesn't want to, whatever position 1 and 2 wants to do, that's what the rest of the team needs to do. Whether that's the right decision or the wrong decision is on them. This is the issue, because you're at a skill bracket where people don't understand timings, people don't understand the strengths and the weaknesses of their heroes. That guy doesn't understand that Queen of Pain falls off super heavy. Queen of Pain is a momentum-based hero. Queen of Pain does not scale super well without snowballing. So Queen of Pain her strongest point is early and mid game. She's a lane dominating hero. You dominate the lane, you get kills, you rotate, you get kills. You got 6-7 kills by like 20 minutes, like more than that maybe. And you're strong. That's how you stay ahead in the game. You stay ahead and you keep the enemy team behind, and that's how you are strong. But if the guy just wants to farm on a Queen of Pain, he obviously doesn't understand how Queen of Pain works, or what the strengths and weaknesses of his hero are. Look at where he is right now on the farming scale. He's number 4. How many kills? He's got 1 kill, 1 death at like 12 minutes. That's just wrong. Honestly, that's just horrible. But the main thing is, what you need to understand is, it doesn't matter what the right way to play Dota is and what the wrong way to play Dota is. If you want to play the right way, then you can go ahead and you can make early game items. To be honest, you're not even playing the right way, because right now you should have TP'd here in the mid lane, and you should have been taking part in this fight, but you didn't. You're farming anyway. So what you're doing is wrong in 2 ways. First of all, you're not doing what the rest of the team wants to do. You're not farming. You're not just sitting there farming, making late game items, making farming items to progress your farm. You need to be at the top of this list. You cannot be at number 3. You need to be at least number 2, or ideally number 1. And I think the main reason is because look at your items. You got a chasing item. You got a tankiness item. Tankiness and damage are like
doesn't give me farming item.
Doesn't give you any farming potential at all. Not even 1 bit. So you're not utilizing your items for what they are for, and you're not making the items that you need for what you're doing. So that's something that you need to sort of solve on your own. Yes, you need to back right now. You need to back right now. You're chasing. That is greediness. That's pure greedy, and you could have invested in this guy as well. Yeah, you could have invested in this guy. You could have invested in this Centaur.
Yeah, true. I have no real excuse for that one. But the reason I went into fight maybe a bit of greedy, but my quap said, "I'm gonna TP. Go fight them. But
he didn't TP though. He didn't even TP. Yeah, so
okay. But at this point, he said, I'm gonna TP, go fight. It was just like, okay, fuck it, I'm going.
yeah,
and I realized he's not going. And
so it's important to look at the minimap. You know,
yeah,
a lot of the time people will make.
At this point, he says, I know he's not TP, but he keeps saying, I'm going to fight.
Yeah, so this is the thing, right? Right now, right at this point, even if Cop was coming, you were gonna die. Because right now, you're probably not looking. Even though you have vision here, you're probably not looking at the minimap because you're fighting constantly, right? So.
Well, I just see those two heroes. I don't see if anyone is stopping.
Yeah, I mean, your rage is off cooldown. You've got an invoker. You've got two spellcasters. Both spellcasters here. Lots of things could have happened here. And on top of that, you're already really low in HP. You know, you don't really have. You know, you've got an armlet, my least favorite item. So I'm biased against it anyway. And really, that's the only thing you've got. So you're not really ready to fight, and you've used your spells. You've used both your spells. Yeah. So should you have gone there even if Cop was calling? No. The next time somebody's calling, you're calling saying, hey, go. You know, doesn't matter if they're saying go. You need to assess the situation as is. You're not playing with 6K people. When you get to 6K and somebody makes a call, yeah, sure, go for it. But right now, you're playing with the Queen of Pain who thinks his right move is to farm. It's a really fantastic way to learn how to not die. It's great practice. You don't need to do it in one MMR. You can do it in your game. You're definitely going to lose that game, 100%, because the main objective is to not die. Because the thing is, you need to learn how to not die. You need to learn when you're being greedy. You need to get out of your tunnel vision. You need to stop and think, you know. And the only way to do that is first to go on to the other extreme, right? And just not die. If you don't die a single time in the game, doesn't matter if you didn't have a single kill. You know, you're 0-0. That's fine. You didn't farm. You didn't die. You need to sit in the base the whole game. Go for it. Doesn't matter. You know. But whatever you have to do, don't die. And then slowly start taking steps forward. Experiment a little bit more, and then suddenly you have a game where you died. All right, why did I die this game? You know, I pushed too far. You know, I can't push that far. That's how you will learn. You know, right now, for instance, you pushed too far, and that's why you died. Was it worth it? Yes, absolutely. But should you have died? No, you shouldn't have died. Because you need to practice not dying. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And then once you've got that down, then you'll start learning. All right, there are times when it's worth dying. For instance, that particular moment where you had the enemy who is the highest net worth. There were 4 of you trying to kill him, and then you died. Was there other alternatives? Yeah, I think you could have avoided dying. Honestly, I think you could have. You could have taken steps to not die. For instance, you could have, like right here, you could have infested the void. You know, you did not have to die there.
If you look at I realized it's slightly too late. You can see the hotkey actually going in. Like I try to press it.
Yeah, so because you were too focused on killing Terrorblade, you need to shift your focus from killing people to surviving team fights. Yeah. And that's important. You need to not die. That's very important. There's 18 minutes in, you've died twice. Now, normally that wouldn't be too bad, but you've really not accomplished anything in this game either. You've got the last hits that you should have had at 10 minutes. You've got the kill. You have as many kills as you have got deaths. So it's, you know, impact-wise as a carry, you haven't really done much.
Dire's bottom tower won't last long.
Keep in mind, you get more gold from killing people than you do from farming. That was long time ago now. It's been months since farming actually was more beneficial than taking fights. Now it's all about taking fights. That's what I keep saying, that it's all about comeback gold. It's all about killing gold. It's all about team fights. Pick team fight heroes. Pick team fight compositions. Most of the time, teams who pick team fighting heroes are the teams that are winning. If you look at the, I was about to say World Cup. If you look at the international, if you look at one major before that, it's all about team fights. It's this whole patch is about team. Very little of it is about split pushing or big massive carries farming their hearts to the heart's content or anything like that.